Hey my Sky Savers, welcome back to my channel. I'm Kim and this is World of Skye, a world for women and moms looking to save money and get the most bang for your buck. And today we're talking all about an emergency fund, why you need it, how much you need, what you should do to start saving towards your emergency fund. One thing is for sure is going to happen is that you are going to run into an emergency at some point. Whatever it is, unexpected repairs for your home, for your car, medical bills, taxes, loss of job, unexpected injury or illness, whatever it is, you will have an emergency that you need to pull funds in order to take care of that emergency. So you're probably sitting there like, yep, that's me. Yep, that happened to me too. Yes, girl. So today we're going to talk about it. We're going to dig deep into an emergency fund, why you need one, what you should do, so that when you have a financial expense that suddenly pops up on you and it's not in like your normal monthly budget, you will be able to take care of that without completely derailing the rest of your financial commitments. Because you know, whenever you have an emergency, it's never like just $200. It's always more. It's always high. And so we want to be able to take care of that without completely throwing everything else off. And note, everyone, I mean everyone, girl, yes, you.
And you too.
Needs an emergency fund. Everyone needs an emergency fund. Okay, so before we jump into it, make sure that you are subscribed to my channel if you have not already done so. Trust me, your wallet, your purse, and your bank account will thank you. Let's go ahead and get into the video. Okay, so first things first, what is an emergency fund? What is it? So it's basically just a safety net. It's a bank account specifically dedicated and designated to pay for unexpected expenses. Like I said, usually these unexpected expenses are large. They're never small. So you need to have a dedicated bank account so that when these expenses arise, you can pull that money from your emergency fund as opposed to pulling it from your normal checking or savings account that you use on a day-to-day basis to take care of your monthly expenses. Okay, so now we've talked about what an emergency fund is. Now let's talk about the benefits of having an emergency fund. The first benefit is just financial stability. If you have a financial crisis arise, then you can just use that stash of cash that you have on reserve for that emergency. Instead of using a credit card that has a high interest rate that you may not be able to repay right away, or taking out a personal loan which comes with extremely high interest rates if you need something that's quick. So having this cash on reserve just gives you that stability that you know, hey, if something happens, I'm good to go because I have this money already set aside for emergencies. The second benefit is it's less stressful. If you have an emergency fund, you're less stressed because you know that you can take care of these financial emergencies. Not having an emergency fund is hella stressful because anything could happen at any time. We all know that. You've probably had that happen to you before. And I'm bet that you'll have it happen to you again in the future. And so if you don't have that emergency fund, it can be really, really stressful wondering, how am I going to take care of this? How am I going to repay my car so that I can get to work? How am I going to repair my washer or dryer, my air conditioning, my heating? You know, all of those things that come up that just break out of nowhere with no warning. How are you going to take care of those? It's stressful to know that if something goes wrong, you don't have the money to take care of it. And so building this emergency fund will give you peace of mind and less stress. The last benefit that we'll talk about today of having an emergency fund, it keeps you from having that domino effect in your finances that could lead to a bad or a worse financial situation than you're already in. So let's say that emergency comes up, you don't have the money, you need to borrow some cash. Woo, child, that can be very expensive. If you need to run and get cash quickly from like a payday loan, think about the high interest rate. Think about the fees. Think about the penalties that you'll have if you can't repay it. It is a lot of money tied to borrowing money. So you can see how that could lead you to be in a worse position. You're always going to be the cheapest lender to yourself because you're not going to charge yourself interest, penalties, or fees. So keep that in mind. You are the best lender. Okay, so let's talk about how much your emergency fund should be. And of course, this is going to differ for everyone because we all have different expenses, we all have different income and things of that nature. But these are some tips in general that you can follow to help guide you. So most experts would recommend that you have 3 to 6 months worth of your financial expenses in your emergency fund. So we're talking all of your expenses. So your mortgage or your rent, your car, health insurance, utilities, personal loans, student loans, credit card debt, or anything else that is essential for you and your family throughout the month. You want to total all of those things up and have at least 3 to 6 months of that amount in your emergency fund. If you need more details about budget categories and kind of what expenses would go into that calculation, check out this video. It goes into a lot of detail about it and it will help guide you on what you need to include. Okay, so I'm a numbers girl, y'all know that. So let's use an example with some numbers based on what I just said. So let's say that your expenses are, we'll use a nice round number for easy math. Let's say that your expenses are $2,000 a month. Okay, so that includes everything, your rent, your car, your debt payments, health insurance, all that good stuff. 2,000 times 3 is 6,000. 2,000 times 6 is 12,000. So according to recommendations, that means that your emergency fund should be between $6,000 and $12,000, okay? That is how you would calculate how much money you need to work towards saving in your emergency fund. Now, you may want to save above and beyond that depending on the type of work that you do. So if you have a seasonal job or if you're a freelancer, contractor, and there are different times of the year where business is slower and then it picks up, you may want to have a larger amount in your emergency fund to help you out during those times when you're not bringing in as much income. So like I said, it is personal based on you and your family situation, but use these tips to guide you when you're creating a plan of how much you want to have in your fund. So I know you're like, girl, where am I supposed to get that type of money? You know, how am I supposed to start saving towards my emergency fund? Let's talk about that. The first thing that I want to say is doing something is better than doing nothing. So saving something, whatever you have towards your emergency fund, it's better than being like, I ain't gonna do it. I don't know where to start. I don't know how to do it. I don't have any extra money. Don't do that. Something is better than nothing. So what you can do is just start putting smaller amounts of money away on a regular basis. On a regular basis, that's the key. You have to be consistent with saving towards your emergency fund. So with every paycheck, just put a little bit into your emergency fund. Whatever it is that you can afford to put it away every single paycheck. And if you do this every single paycheck over time, that money will add up. It will add up. And then let's say if you come into some extra money, and what I mean by extra money is just money that's not in like your normal income that you make. So maybe it's from your tax return, or maybe you have a side hustle that brought in some extra money. Maybe you work some overtime and so you have some extra income. Anytime that you get that extra money, put some of that money into your emergency fund as well. Okay, so back to the numbers, right? Back to the numbers, I know. Okay, so let's say that you get paid every 2 weeks and you put in $50 every time you get paid. So that's like $25 a week that you dedicate to putting into your emergency fund. And you can choose to do this manually or you can do it automatically. So it automatically happens every time you get paid. However you set it up, just make sure that you are getting that money into that emergency fund account. And if your employer allows, you can designate kind of where your money goes if you get direct deposit, and you can have your employer just directly deposit that money into your emergency fund so you don't even see it, and you know that every time you get paid, you are funding that emergency account. But back to the numbers. So if you put that $25 in every single week, or $50 every pay period if you get paid every 2 weeks, same thing, right? In just 2 years, you would have put $2,600 into your emergency fund. And if you threw in some extra money, some of those things that I mentioned earlier, your emergency fund would be even larger. So you can see how just small incremental steps can help you build your emergency fund. As you have more income to save into that fund, you should do that. But at minimum, if you can commit to a small amount, any amount, start putting that away in your emergency fund. Okay, so you may be asking, where should I keep my emergency fund? Where should I store this money? Not under your mattress, not in a shoebox, not in your bra. Some of y'all will get that, some of y'all won't. That's okay. Let's move on. So 2 things. First, you want to make sure that your money is easily accessible. If you have an emergency come up, it's urgent, right? It's urgent. And so you need to be able to access that cash quickly. And the second thing is that you want to make sure that your emergency fund is in an interest-bearing account, right? So you want to be making some money, even a little bit of money, on your emergency fund. So make sure that you put it into an account that does accrue interest. And the last point that I want to make about your emergency fund is don't be all up in your emergency fund using it for other things, okay? Yeah, I'm talking to you. It's not for entertainment. Your emergency fund is not for vacation. It's not for shopping. is for emergencies. And when you have an emergency that hits, you'll be very grateful and thankful that you have that money set aside. So the moral of the story is stay about your emergency fund unless there is an emergency. Okay, I hope you found this video very, very helpful regarding emergency funds and that you will start working towards your emergency fund today. Start now. If you have $10, if you have $5, if you have $50, start working towards your emergency fund today. And before you go, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you like content about how to save money and better manage your finances. That's it for now. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you, and I'll see you in my next video. Happy saving.